Welcome back to the channel. Sorry about that, my internet was acting up. But luckily, the trade didn't go against me up to this 6, back above 6. We'll see if that has any weight to this whatsoever. But looks like we are back connected. Bids off of 94s, so we're still playing this sort of level. We bought the couple fills in this order and we were sitting off 62s and we just weren't able to get 62s, which is alright. This might have to come back in for it to be anything. Still light volume, so it just shows, the light volume just shows me that, hey, there wasn't any continued selling pressure going through that. And when it was down at a full red engulfing candles, when we tried punching some more shares, we ended up getting 66. So buyers buying it off that level is a decent look. Looking at DWAC just continuing this sort of descending channel. GFAI, little wiki, uh, large move on the name. Is the move over? I don't know. It's possible. But the best trade that I found reasonable for my setup was this BDRX. Just looking at it, able to hold nicer full green engulfing candles. Probably has some sort of downtrend, regardless of how you set it. Maybe we're back testing the top end of the downtrend, but uh, I'm not 100% sure. But was able to hold above these 80s for the time being, and actually work just a little bit lower, just marking these bottoms right here. 55. Crack that resistance, retest of support. Whether this is support that can hold or not, I don't know. If this ended up giving up the levels, probably going to have some movement to the downside. But there we go. We're getting some size on the bid. 52 lots holding it up at 602. That's a good start. Looking at the markets, my bad, I had to go reset my internet. NQ was able to give that red candle to the downside, now rejecting these body lows right here. So I'd like to see the NQ just get over top of that. Because if it continues rejecting and keeps testing these lows right there, the more I'm going to think, hey, this could be support that eventually gives up. And therefore saying that, hey, this could mean some further movement to the downside. So hopefully that's not the case. But looking around, RXRX, man, just wasn't able to come on in. I guess my internet was out anyway, so I wouldn't have been able to take it. But looking at the right names, a nice channel respect right here. Testing up to this 16. I wouldn't be surprised if this made a run for the top end of the channel today. I'm not going to try it because, I have places to be today, unfortunately. But also I would have liked that entry in closer towards that 15 flat. Wasn't able to get it, so be it. Could have seen these wicks coming into the bottom end of this uptrend, which is also getting damn close to these highs right there. If I just mark the wick top, you can see that never even got down to that wick top right there. So pretty nice look. BDRX, we'll see if that same size is there. Bid stacked actually off 603. For some reason, my chart for this ticker doesn't really adjust. And there's up to 608. So let's see if we can get some further movement to the upside. Let's just clear the chart. Just keep it a nice clean chart. But if the volume can come on into this one, we think that we can get some nice movement to the upside. We like the entry where it's at. We want to see buyers continue to hold it up above 6 though. So not out of the woods yet. Not out of the woods really until it takes out this wick top at 690. If it can do that, we're in on a massive trade. But only 2 fills on the pullback right there. So uh, not really the most amount of size, but we have a couple fills at the very least. So I could respect this level, mark it out of a piece of it if I wanted to, but I think I'm feeling a little greedy today. And let's see if we can at least get up, which the current price right here is right at these wick lows. So this is normally that first area that I would want to start trimming, but I think we can get some movement if we get up to those 625s. I think that's a more justified area to take some profit. We do have one lot stacked on 06, so not much size climbing up to 6, but giving that 6 level some cushion is also important, which it doesn't have the most amount of cushion right there. Only one lot off 6 is not good. I'm not able to see the full tape, so I can't see what's on 6 right now. I can only see the current. So I see there's 2 lots on 03s. Whether that has any weight to it whatsoever, I don't know. But all in all, from these 75s, which is where we kind of want to play, holding 4% in the money right now, which I think is a joke of what this could do. From 75 just to the top, 21%. I think it's doable. Saying that DWAC looks awfully weak, actually just gave up the level. That is in the middle of the green candle move, but kind of like I said, you're going to have to deal with this as some sort of descending channel. How long does it need to go down before it really wants to act as something that wants to be support? And you can see the 30-minute where you only have one candle move to the upside on a 30-minute. Your pullback ranges are down at 17 and 1650. Slippery slope when you get playing with these channels, so I'm not going to be playing DWAC at all today. GFAI, at least GFAI has 3 green candles to the upside on the basing off the 30-minute, but also wicking into the level. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see GFAI hold this price right here off 825s and catch a bid. This is kind of the retest of this 810 top. Hasn't quite gotten there yet, but I'd count it if it started curling up. I would count it as a retest. So we'll see what that has in store. We got 4 minutes left in this candle. Not a lot of green volume coming in yet, but we do have 41 lots off of this 02 price. So we'll see if this can hold RXRX. One thing I do like about this take out the wick top right here is, one, it was what it rejected early in the day. So anybody short off of this right off the open, boom, they're out of the money already. 2, the volume from this green candle to this green candle, you can see the increase. So if this were to pull back in towards this 1550, I don't see why it couldn't see more volume coming in the middle of this green candle. So it's honestly a pretty good look. And that's all without saying that it has a legitimate channel to the upside for continuation. Where this alert price was at was the 15 test up here. That was the initial moving price. So from the gap, if you just said, hey, I'm punching in, we're holding, that guy is in the money. So that is also something worth noting. BDRX, is this going to give some sort of continuation? And 6s just gave up. We're at 96 right now. So to hold, I like the green candle close. So maybe if we pull back in the 585s, some buyers can come back in. Who knows? As long as it doesn't flush on me, that's all I care about. Because a flush on me would mean that we're stopping out. Looking around, let's get an update. Yeah, let's go look. Keep an eye on this over here while we're looking over here. UCAR up 3%, no volume though. PBR up to that 14, never wanted to continue that move to the downside. You look at the daily chart on this, and you can see where we were looking at punching some reloads. Maybe we're getting a little greedy. But earnings coming up, expected 71 cents a share for a $13 company. If they keep putting quarters after quarter after quarter of 70 plus cents, what were they the quarter before? 56 cents, $1.26. At some point in time, something has to give. That's all I'll say about that. You can see the RXRX. Nice stair step action. Looking like it actually wants to go take out this 16. So a little upset we don't have this one. I should have just punched in with the setup it had like this. Beautiful type of setup. One pullback candle takes out the highs. No messing around. I'd say QDEL is one that we have kind of had our eyes on a little bit. Expected 27 cents of EPS. They've been merged for a whole year now, I believe. So year over year number is not the most amount of growth. Keep an eye on BDRX. If this volume can start jumping in on this, we think that we have a winner. 7 lots on 97. So by no means is this out of the woods yet. Oddity Tech, finally getting that 21 in there. Finally had enough candles for that 21. Stony was one I was looking at earlier today. Able to take out the highs, nice look. Would have been able to take, 27 clean cents on that. Probably some further movement to the upside. It's a good look on Stony. If I was looking at some sort of a swing trade potentially, that is the setup that we're looking for. Getting closer to that positive break, taking out these highs. Gaps up, doesn't have the weakness to pull back down. Honestly, how you draw it up. Honestly, you'd want this positive breakdown here, of course, at 988. But this is where that flat top gives up, and we gain that flat top and pull right back into the top end of it. And now this is what's happening. So I mean, if you were looking for something that you just can't find a trade, I would say Stony. Even if you punch in at this top right here and it starts going against you, this should have pretty good support down to this 70. So let's go ahead and put an alert on this, and I'll think about trading the old Stony if it wants to come on down. BDRX, open of the next candle. Kind of a flat open, a little bit of a red candle right now. Not a lot of green volume came into it. So maybe that's a little bit of concern. That third candle, we'd like to see a lot more volume than 3K and 4K. We want to see these types of candles start coming back in. So let's start with an 80 hold. And why I say 80 is that is the body candle right there. Also meeting in with my 34. But looking around this BGLC, giving a nice churn to the upside. RXRX, looking for, let's move this alert to 60. If that alerts us, then we can think about it. Looking around, let's see if we can find anything else. Enphase approaching that earnings day. Enphase is a big earnings name. Decent chart setup. Is it going to have the strength to break through this sort of downtrend like that? We can see the clear uptrend right here. So Enphase is going to be one that we keep our eyes on. We are long on this name. I can see wasn't able to quite get down to this but got as low as 74.81s. BDRX 4 lots on 85, so nothing too crazy going on with BDRX. Actually got 14 lots on the ask at 95s. So I'd say our price is actually sitting more so like this in the middle of this green move. So gonna have to wait and see which way this wants to start going. You know, believe it or not, we were trading this name. We were trading this name off of this positive break. This is why I take so much pride in the positive break. You know, you can trade something from that breakout and hold it. Great things can happen. But also part of this BDRX is if this is able to just give a nice slow churn through that positive break, it has been a long time coming. So is it going to have the strength to be able to push higher? I can't tell you that for sure. But without question, you can see that uptrend right there. So even if it needed to pull back into like 42s, I mean, that looks like pretty solid support. 45s, that looks like solid support right there. Whether it is, whether it isn't, we think it's reasonable to run up to that 10 gap. These volumes are definitely getting lighter though. You can see the downtrend. You can see the downtrend. DWAC regaining 20s. One lot on 86, not a lot of volume running through the tape. Sure doesn't seem like there's a motive for now. If this starts flirting up near these highs though, I promise you there's going to be some volume. EBS, that was one that we were thinking about around this 750. Nice fill off the gap and nice movement to the upside off of that. RX. Second indecision candle coming on in. I would say this C4, CCCC, a reasonable setup, setting up this flat top for a potential gap up over top of all of this. And all it would take is a claim of 4 before this could really start going more to this flat bottom break. Give a test up to 5, reject, probably trade all the ways back down to 280. I shouldn't say probably. But all in all, I would say that's a reasonable setup right here. Holding this positive, there's your positive break, so pretty much off the open. BDRX up to those 95s. It chip away. It was actually able to take out those 14 lots at 95, so that's a good start. We got 5 lots on 6. 29 lots on 590, so seeing a little bit of size start to come on into it. Let's just clear our chart. I don't like when it looks like that. I can already see the wick lows. I can see the body candle, which this wick low is. If we can get over 610, that would be a good start as well. So 29 lots off of 90, still holding tight for now. But I wouldn't be surprised to see that get taken out. But other than that, I mean, if there's anything that anybody wanted me to take a look at, then Mr. Drift, appreciate you tuning in. I had some internet issues going on earlier. I feel like it's been a little while. Hope everything's going good. It's been a busy week. One of my not so good day trading weeks. But swing trades, we did very well. Trimmed a lot of names, had a lot of transactions. It's harder to keep on top of live stream and swing trades. 'Cause I mean, there's 1,000 different things I could go to and say, oh, yep, let's trim this up, let's trim this. It's just, it's kind of more difficult. So I try to only talk about stuff that I've talked about on the live stream. But I would say a big watcher of mine is going to be this DFS. I like their earnings report. You know, to an extent, obviously there was some bad news with their earnings report regarding some of their accounts. But to my knowledge, it's only going to cost them 365 million, which is a drop in the bucket for them. They paused their share buybacks, which thank the Lord because we don't have our entry on this. So if this pulls back into those 90s, you're going to hear me talking about DFS. And you're going to be like, what is this guy's deal with this company? And if it somehow gets underneath 90, it's going to be one of those that is getting bought every single day. What's up, man? What would you say your daily income from trading? You know, that's a tough question, and one that I'm not going to answer because I don't have to answer it. I'm not about uh, talking about my daily income because everyone's different, and I don't want somebody to say, "Oh, this guy makes this much. That means if I listen to him and follow the trades, then I'm going to be successful." No, my goal is to uh, show you guys my process, what I look at, because my daily income is going to be in the range, not, and I'm not going to be able to base it off trading because I'm sitting off of swing trades. I'm sitting off of long positions that I've been holding for more than 2 years now. It's all built in the one. I could put in the time to go in and do that, but I mean, for example, we've been holding XLE. I mean, am I going to go calculate in XLE off of a trend line move right here into my daily income? No, I'm not going to do that because I'm not selling XLE. So it's tough to say, but I mean, if you wanted to go there, a reasonable size on when I say I start getting size on a position, it's sitting about 4 to 5K. How about that? So my position sizing, when I want to get it fully built, is about 4 to 5K. And if I say I don't have size on it, I probably have anywhere from $200 to $1,000 on it. So if I were to hit, uh, Nikola is a good example. Nikola was one that we had decent size on. We took a 150 break, and for me to calculate Nikola into my daily, we're still holding our 150 break. We've trimmed one set, our 290s and 275s are my two best prints, and we think that we can actually sell this up at 460. So for me to go in and say, oh yeah, Nicola's still part of that daily income, it's like I don't know. Because I'm a different style of trader. I'm not trading an individual day and then I'm out of something. I want to get the entries that are golden. Like this nickel is a perfect example. Is setting up this flat top at 150. We took the 150 break on size and we trimmed it on that day. I mean, you can go back and look at when we were trading Nikola. It was a couple weeks back. It's back to July 13th, July 12th. But even then, so I could have had the entry off of a one flat. So it's tough for me to calculate in a daily income because I'm not getting new ideas every single day. Uh, a lot of it is just movement off of a single day. So like this BDRX, we have two fills on the name. It came right back into my entry. We don't really have the size on it. Probably going to get ready to exit the position. This will be a loser. I'll lose, X amount, however much that is. It's all tough to say, but I just do this to try and get better. I try to become a better trader every single day, whether that's swing trades, long trades, day trades, and it's up to you to take what I present and use it for your own benefit. Whether it's not even on the same ticker, whether it's to make you give you more information of like, oh, this is a good idea. I like how he does this. I can implement this into my own trading strategy and use it to my benefit. That's what this channel is all about. So that is 100% true, Drift. I will say it is a lot easier to swing trade fundamentally sound companies is one thing that I would add to that. You find a company that's going to be here 20 years from now and you buy support, you buy it off of strength, I think you'll be successful. There's actually statistics out there that show that, 90, upper 90s, there's like 90 to 95% of day traders, they don't even make minimum wage. Some of them don't even make money. So it's like, honestly, if it were up to me, I would rather just swing trade. Swing trade is so less stressful. And what one of those examples of how I would look at a swing trade. What's a good example? Just scrolling through this. I mean, I can click on any ticker. Let's go off of snow. So my goal in a swing trade is to get the positive break. So right here was a level. We identify this as, okay, we're holding this trend line. And now when we get this positive strength right here, as soon as we take out this high, look at that. You got a nice green engulfing candle right there that gaps up to. So the golden entry in my position was this 150 break. In my opinion, I meant, is this 150 break. And if you were able to hold that, you were able to trim this all the way through this level. You had some gaps right here. You have a gap right here that gets filled. You have a gap right here that gets filled. So trim the levels to the upside. Well, you get the gap down. That comes right back into your entry. Fills your original gap up. This is potential where you can reload into position, set a stop underneath the trend line, and you would have benefited greatly from this. Just another positive break. But I don't know. It's all tough, man. It's all tough. But I mean, even looking at Snowflake, Snowflake isn't the most fundamentally sound company either. Uh, so that's my goal. Why is it that that's always just a really common question? Everyone wants to know how much you make. That doesn't really add any credibility to what you do because you don't really know for sure if somebody's actually telling the truth. So my goal is to just keep that out of it. Give a trade. I don't have my daily income on the screen. If that's not something that you like, then I'm not forcing you to watch the channel. You don't have to watch. Uh, But when you add that into the perspectum, or whatever the word I'm supposed to use there, I feel you get yourself in trouble. Because one day you feel you're on top of the world, the next day maybe you're not on top of the world. And maybe that's one of those trades that somebody follows you, and that's what you got to live with. So I mean, this RX I feel is setting up a butte. This is the type of setup that I like right here. This BDRX, it's trying to hold a level. I think I'm just gonna go put a 564 stop in and focus on. We'll go 560. We'll give it that whole dollar right there. We're stopping that at 560. That small loss, we kept it manageable. Like I said, didn't have the most size, only a couple fills, didn't have any trims. The internet went out. Might have thought about it, but if it can hold that 560, I feel pretty good about it. So let's go look at this RX trade, because I think that one is actually a lot better of a setup. Or we still haven't got alerted. Oh, but oh, I didn't even put the time in the check if there was any earnings plays this morning. But I will say a swing trade that I am building into, that I'm in the red on, is Disney against strength. I feel Disney has some pretty reasonable support in here. Actually where I was buying it was part of this day up here. So the last buys that I had, and why I liked it, is because this wick was able to fill this gap right there. And when I seen this gap up, I seen some buyers off of this gap. I thought this was setting up, primed, ready to go. And I thought for sure that it'd show some strength up this 91.30 gap, but it didn't. But I think Disney is one of those plays that, not even a swing trade, I'm more so just building along. BDRX up to those 588, so it doesn't look like it got up to 588. I think it's yanking my chain. Ford has been one that is going to be on watch for me. Gets the gap down. We got this dividend coming up, so I'm thinking that it's going to try and push this price down leading up into this dividend, because you're getting some sell off. You're getting people that are saying, hey, this dividend drop that we're going to get after it pays is going to be more than what that dividend is. I don't even want to hold it. So what I'm looking for actually is to see some price movement, get closer down to this 13, where after the dividend gets paid, I'm expecting some price drop. And then for this to set some sort of bottom somewhere, because when that dividend gets paid, I'm going to show you. Payment date September 1st. So it has all the ways till this day. All the ways to this day to get as high as it possibly can, so that when that dividend gets paid, it's at that price. So I think what's gonna happen, you're gonna see the dividend get paid, and you're gonna see it start building this U shape, and you're gonna see it make a run back up for this gap for that payment right there. So we're still holding a nice chunk of Ford, probably under 50% of the position, from an 1125. So lost destination, if that. Can't talk about child uh, trafficking as a crime. Yeah, I would short Disney. I agree with you that it looks like a short drift. I agree with you there. This would be a classic flat bottom break right here. It's been holding this support right around this range. And all it would take is a little bit more movement to the downside, and you're going to see some red engulfing down into those 70s. But I'm going to show you why I would be careful with that. I'm going to show you. One, they have a lot of debt. That is your catalyst for the short side. Two, their margins aren't there yet. But if they can start bringing in this cash flow, I just got alerted on RXRX. We're going to have to pause the financial lesson because I think it's go time for RXRX. I think we're going to play around with this 550 level. This is candle number 3 on decreased volume, takes out the highs. Are these same buyers going to come on in? That is going to be the question. BDRX still holding these 580s. Let's see if that has not stopped us out yet. So we'll stay true to that stop, and I'm going to actually throw on RXRX for the tape here and see what we can find. 6 mil in volume, down to 55s on the bid. You know, let's go ahead and start that position right here. Let's get an entry level position. If this wants to come in a little bit lower, retest this support right here, I'm going to feel pretty good about it, adding to it. So let's see where our first fill came in at. Looks like we got 58. So not the best price, but I think this is setting up close to this 50 range. So let's go on the bid at 52 and 50. Okay, so we got a couple orders out there. We'll see if this can fill the order or not. And maybe it does have to come in a little bit more. But we're going to play this 50 level. Whether that's set accurately or not. Bid stacked off of 59s. All in all, Drift, I'll just keep it simple. With Disney, if they can get back to the same margins that they were putting, you know, and let's start with if they can put up $1 EPS, matching that year over year is about flat, 22 and a half from 20. They keep putting up that revenue growth. I don't see why, in the long term, whether it gives out this bottom or not, gives you a drop to 80 flat, 75, 70. Long term, Disney's not going away anywhere over the next 20 years. I don't care what type of news is in there. You're going to get this 101 fill at least. So the lower you get it away from that 21, so from current price, you're looking at 16% premium to run it up to that gap. So if it gives out the bottoms, it gives out the bottoms. I'm probably gonna give it a little bit of time to rest and average in. But I think Disney's a reasonable long-term play that you could go with. RX catching a little bit of a bid, showing that wick. Does this next candle need to pull back in the 50s? One thing that I do like about it is getting smaller. So we have a red candle, you have some selling pressure, a little baby wick, and now you're getting more of that indecision candle, so that those buyers coming in near those 50s. And let's not forget, the bigger picture in my eyes is that we're getting a nice channel. Yes, it's a little late. It would have been nice to try this in close to those 15s. So I'd like to have that 15 entry already, actually. But you can see a little bit of a false breakout right there. But I would say this is how I'd have my chart set up. And now up to 69s, if I wanted to, I could start ringing the register. But I'm not going to because I don't have size yet. We only got one of those fills. I thought that this was going to come on into 50s. But we got as low as 56. Got as low as 56. Let's cancel that out. So a little bit of wick buying pressure. We're getting the end of this candle right here. So we'll see if this can get some more movement to the downside and give us these fills that we want to see. Nice decreasing volume throughout that right there. Here's 63s. Are we going to get this pullback into 50s or not? And here we're down to 60s. BDRX looking like we're going to give up these lows right here. But I wouldn't be surprised to see if it could try to hold these 75s. There could be some potential there. But just no volume. So probably going to get stopped out, basing it off of this volume. If we start seeing that volume pick up, we reclaim 6. I think this could have had some potential, but just not as interested in this BDRX as I was. So probably going to get stopped out there. And here we're in the 56s on the bid. Still some buyers there. Not much size coming in through the tape yet, but right back up to 60s. So that wick low hold right there. I'm actually going to mark it in for a little bit more size, just in case this doesn't give me the pullback. Buyers continuing to hold that 55 range. There's 52s, there's 50s. Okay, so we got a couple fills here. Let's see if some buying can come in, and maybe if it comes down to this 1540. This is where we're going to be able to get that true size on this. 9 lots at 50, so not a lot of size off this 50 mark right here. But we think that this can pull into 40s and be reasonable. This ends up stopping us out, it ends up stopping us out. And let's go ahead and get one last order on this and see if we can get some buyers to reclaim those 50s. But other than that, and it's holding it in just a wee bit, but that's the risk that we're going with. 10 lots off 40s. I don't like how that is a larger candle right there. Maybe could have been a little bit more patient with this, but we're gonna give it a chance. If we lose on it, then we lose on it. Right into those previous highs. So looking to see some buyers hold this level up. BDRX holding still. So there we have a little wick of buying. Let's see where that last fill came in at. 44s. So we got 44s. We'll see if this can catch a bid or not. 10 minutes left in this candle, so this can still leave a nice wick. Oh boy. Okay, some buyers held it up above those 40s. Got as low as 39. Man, there's just a lot right here. There's a lot right here. One lot off of 40s and didn't hold. We're going to try one more order off 35s and get ready to mark it out if this is how it wants to play out. Back above 40s is a good start, but I'd like to see it show some strength up to those 50s. Holding 40s. BDRX giving a nice curl. 38s, 40s not holding. And right through 35, so we did get a 35 fill. I am going to be ready if this wants to go underneath of 20s is going to be my out. I can't give it any more than that. This is not a lovely looking candle unless we see some buying come in. Which we got 7 minutes left. A little bitty wick, nothing to brag about by any means. Six minutes left on this candle. Doesn't look like these 37s are going to be the ones that do it. Up over 40 again, so decent wick. We got one lot off 40s that just got eaten up. But trying to reclaim 40s. And there we reclaim 40s, so good start. Still got 5 minutes left in this candle. I'd like to see it leave a wick up towards that 50s. Or maybe it has a chance. Just maybe. BDRX wicked up to those, 614. So that could start getting going. The volume actually picking up just a little bit. So maybe I should have just stayed with the BDRX. Potentially. And there is a little size coming in off 37. So there's 41 lots off 37. So I feel good about that. I wouldn't feel good about it if it took those out though. So maybe could have just been patient for the retest on this one. We still think we have a winning trade. Not giving up on this just yet. There's some 40s going through the tape. Bid stacked off 41s. There's up to 43s. BDRX up to 6. It showed it there at least. This is something I probably should have checked out. Was this resistance right here? Do we get back up to that? I couldn't tell you for sure. But that is a rejection of that 702, which is a little bit scary. Let's just get back on top of 40s. 3 minutes left on the candle. BDRX up to 615 tap. So giving a nice look there. Actually, volume's increasing. Let's just let that one ride. RXRX back up to these 42s. A few 42s coming through the tape. BDRX up to 619. A nice green candle. Looks like maybe it could get up to these 670s. So that's a good look. BDRX up to 633. Let's go ahead and take a piece off. BDRX. Let's go take a piece off. We'll go right off of 630. But nice to see one of the names starting to move for us. Oh, I gotta stop in. I can't. I gotta cancel the stop before I can. Let's take our first piece off here and let's just go mark it because there's actually one size there. And RX back above 1550. This is what we wanted to see. Now a little bit of breathing room coming into the plays, huh, Drift? Getting a little bit of breathing room. Oh, that's what we like to see. We like the buyers coming in off of that level. But this is why I always try to be patient for the whole candle to be done. Because now holding above these 50s, this could start turning green, give us that U shape, and for all we know, we're going to take out the highs. So if we can take out the highs, and we had a good fill down there at those 35s. Those 35s running up 4%. And one thing I like about this pullback area, so we started at 57s was our first order. You know, we risk a cent and a or a percent and a half. It's really not half bad risk. And now actually starting to catch a bid. So let's start taking piece off right here. Let's take a small trim right here. This is higher than any order we've had on the name. So taking our first profit take on RXRX. It's a good start. Let's go on the ask at 66. BDRX catching a bid up to that 646. Let's go on the ask. BDRX. You know, let's just take a piece off market right here actually and use the other 5% off of 650. If 650s want to fill, we're going to be all for it. RX right back on in, so weren't able to get a little bit more of a pop, but we were able to get 1562 was the first print on the name. So now just looking for these levels to continue holding, see if this can sort of start building some sort of U shape. RX. And BDRX ripping through those 650s. So 650s giving us a fill. Let's go on the tape at 70s. BDRX. And a sort of a death candle through that, but we got a couple fills on the name. So let's go off of 670 and see if we can get a fill on that. And let's put an alert in case this gives up 6. RXRX back up 1560s. We're talking about BDRX. Schmidt bucket. We're talking about BDRX. Bought the consolidation. We got 72s and 66s. We thought about trimming. Internet actually goes out right here, Schmidt. We get the internet back on. It's right back in. We put a 660 stop. We said, hey, if it gives up this green candle, we're out. And now we just got fills off of 28s, 33s, 40s, and 50s. So a nice move from our, we'll call it a 75 average, around a 10% to our top print, and we're on the ask at 70s. And why we're on the ask at 70s is the top of these body candles. But what put it on the map originally is that it was able to break this sort of downtrend on the increased volume and then back test the top of that channel right there, or the wedge pattern right there. And you can see the nice uptrend that we have. So if this wants to start taking out, we're looking at sort of an early entry right here. You can see the volume wicking, 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 wicking. So it has a history of wicking, but now that it actually showed that we're starting to break through this channel, it's possible the channel needs to be set sort of like that. So if we can get this breakout of this, we think we can run this up to the gap and potentially even one more gap. So if we're talking about early entries down here at 570, that first gap is 85%, second gap 68%. The RXRX is kind of just looking for a continuation on this channel. So if I go to a 15-minute chart, this is one that we were playing on a 13 break over here, over top of this neckline, and maybe we were in a little bit earlier. I can't remember. This was back on the 17th. But you can see got a little continuation. We ended up getting stopped out of this name. It makes a run further and kind of traded sideways. Never got to the bottom end of this channel before it gave us another breakout right here from this 1420 flat top. So we weren't watching it off the open right here. But then yesterday, pulling back in, we noticed that it was holding this channel right here. We were watching it right here actually. This is where my internet went out. We come back and we're up at 16. So it's like, okay, now I got to try and consolidate. We actually started at 58s, 55s, 52s, 50s in the middle of this candle. Actually, we got those fills in this candle. And then we also got 42s and 35s. We got the bottom print on this almost. And we just got a fill at 1566. So starting to ring the register on the name. But one thing I liked about this is even though we started our position in these 1550s, you know, this pullback down, we only risked about 1.5%. So it's not the most volatile mover, which gave me a little bit more comfort averaging into it. BDRX came all the ways back into 10, so it was good to get those fills. I should probably go put some stops underneath, but more than likely, I'm not going to let this go underneath of the entry. So my bad, headset went out. So if it gives this price up, I'm just going to take the win that we have and go from there. So RXRX up to those 1572s. Let's just go ring the register on that again. We think that we have 8 minutes left in this candle, so at the bare minimum, we're giving it this candle to show us what we think it can do, which is breakout. So if we get this breakout, we're going to feel pretty good. But let's go take a piece off of RXRX right now because this is making a move into 70s. So ringing the register. We have more size on the RXRX trade, so I would rather this one start continuing this green candle, which it is. And let's go ahead, and it looks like we're going to be able to fight through these 75s. One lot, we fought through the 75s, one lot on 76. So top end of this wick, which meets in, we'll say bottom end of this first pullback candle right there is worth a trim. So we'll go 1578. 1578, let's take a piece off there if it wants to fill, and if not, anything that we trim we can try and reload back in off the 1550 retest. BDRX now a full green candle, starting to make a look. We're on the ask at I gotta go relook at my order. We're on the ask at 670, so let's see if this 670 can fill. Coming on in, a little bit of an indecision still, so maybe needs a little bit more time, but as long as it can close as an indecision candle, we don't see a reason why this next candle, you can see the volume starting to pick up. Obviously sellers and buyers. But those are the two names that we're looking at today. We were looking at GFAI. Obviously, it's been ripping. But given up the level, I said, the entry we were trying to get on this name was yesterday. But we weren't able to get the GF. We had a small fill market order in the middle of this candle, and then obviously rocket ship, our last print on the name, which was not very much size. Came in, BDRX up to this 16 or 660 again on a full green candle. Can we start getting this breakout on the name or not? $662, that's a new high of the candle. 5 minutes left. If it closes any candle like this, we're pretty confident we're going to get 670. But obviously it can still wick down in 666, and this will almost be a whole dollar in the money if we get this fill. Coming back in, respecting this sort of channel or this downtrend. 660. Can we get the fill? Just waiting to ring the register. RXRX still holding these 70s, so we're actually thinking that this is going to come back in the 50s. Reject the middle of this red move. Start to give that, build to the downside. But we are on the ask at 78, so we'll see if that can fill 78s or not. All in all, we're pretty confident that both of these trades are going to be green trades. Whether we end up getting stopped out of them or not, I'm not going to allow either of them to go red on me. If one was going to go red on me, it'd be this RXRX trade, but this one isn't as volatile. So if this wants to pull back in the 50s, we're going to try and reload it. Just because we like the way that this gaps up, resist, 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 takes out that on a nice green candle, pulls right back in and retests those highs. BDRX just barely doesn't get us up there to that fill. But if it closes with any green body, that will be good enough because we got the volume increase right here. As long as it doesn't show us a red candle, which the red candle would be increased red volume, obviously put there. But let's see if this can get some more volume and actually start breaking out. RXRX up to those 1576, so 2 pennies off the ask from getting our fill. So we're gonna see, we're keeping an eye on both of them. BDRX was back up to, did it get up to 67 there? No, it's 57. Odd, actually breaking over top of that. So we talked about setting up this flat top around these 53s. Now breaking over that. If this wants to continue following this channel, looks like a good name for continuation. 2.5 minutes left in this candle. BDRX or RXRX trying to give this full green candle. We'll see if we can get 1578. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to just yet. And there's 1577. We're 1 penny off of our ask. 1 penny off the ask. So just waiting. Coming into the tail end of this candle, 27K in volume. So we still think that we can get this price movement about as true an indecision candle as it gets right there. And now turning into a red candle, which is not what we wanted. More of a death candle. Still got 80% of this position left. Just looking for sixes to hold. And RXRX just barely didn't give us that fill. So that is tough, but it's what it is. We got the open of the next candle. But all in all, that is going to call it for the live stream, I think. I got to be somewhere at 12:30 and I got to get ready. So we were able to showcase a couple trades for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, and a little bit shorter of a live stream, but yeah, sometimes that is what it is. So hope everyone has a good weekend, and we will see you here on Monday.